Good morning and welcome to our Guest Profile Merge and Purge webinar. For today's presentation, I have an outline of what we're going to take a look at for our webinar. We'll start with some introductions and then we'll dive right into our topic and discuss why guest data is necessary. We'll look at how to purge guest profile information, how to merge guest profiles, and then we'll also look at our advanced tool, Match and Merge Guest Profiles Together. We'll also talk about when you can start using these tools, how to get access, and we'll wrap up today's presentation with a summary and Q&A. So a bit of an introduction. My name is Tasha Leclerc. I'm a trainer and implementation specialist with RoomKey. Joining me today, I do have our Director of Customer Experience, Mr. William Tam. So I'll be leading today's presentation and the demonstrations on screen, and William will oversee the chat and Q&A function. Everyone in today's presentation is on mute, so if you do have any questions throughout the presentation, go ahead and click on that Q&A button in the Zoom webinar. You'll be able to ask your questions. William will be able to answer as we go through, and any remaining questions we can include in our Q&A at the end. A couple of other things about today's webinar. It is being recorded, and for those of you attending our live presentation, there will be a webinar survey at the end. If you have a couple of quick minutes to answer some questions there and maybe offer suggestions for future webinar presentations, we're always happy to take that feedback as well. And lastly, speaking of future webinar presentations, I'm happy to announce that our next webinar next month for August will be covering our overbooking limits tool inside RoomKey. So taking a look at our topic for today, I just wanted to pose a question as to why guest data may be necessary or why it is necessary for hotel operations, why it's such a key element in our RoomKeyPMS software. Accurate guest data, it does facilitate personalized experiences for your guests. It also allows your marketing team to target their marketing campaigns to select guests, maybe repeat guests, or try and drive that repeat business. And it also helps you remain in compliance with data protection regulations. So ensuring that that guest data is protected is an overarching theme with our guest profile information and how we manage that inside RoomKey. So taking a look at that protection element first, I'm actually going to look at the process that we use to purge guest data. So to purge guest profile data inside RoomKey, the goal is to remove any guest contact details that could include first name, last name, or their telephone number, physical address, but still retain any of the details that are associated with the booking. So that could include revenue information as well as stay information. So as I mentioned, select details in the guest profile will be removed. It's actually replaced with the word removed inside the database. So it actually masks or overrides those select detail fields. And after a profile has been purged, those details cannot be recovered. And there's that clerk permission. Not all users will have access to this functionality. You do require clerk permission 1555, purge guest personal information, in order to proceed. So here I have a short video that's going to demonstrate that purge process in RoomKey. Great. So to purge a guest profile, you're going to start by opening the guest profile module found in the operations menu. When that opens up, you will see on screen the purge button. Now, before we purge a guest profile, we do need to search for the guest profile that we need to use for this purpose. So we're going to click guest search. You can search for a specific profile by last name, first name. Here I'm just entering in Melissa Smith, and you'll click the search button. When that profile appears, you can verify that it's the correct profile by address or maybe some of the details of the guest profile information down below. You'll see that they have address information, telephone number, any secondary address information. And when you're ready to purge these details, go ahead and click the purge button. When you do so, you do need to print the word purge, and that will complete the purge here. So you'll see that it doesn't remove the profile, it simply replaces key details with the word removed. But it does retain the physical location data as well as the stay information. So we know when that profile guest had stayed, but it no longer shows any identifying information for that guest here in the database. We can look for any removed or purged profiles if you do a guest search for the word removed. And I can see I actually have 2 purge guest profiles in that database. So purging guest data is to ensure that you are securely managing that information. Now, there is no automated purge in RoomKey. That is a manual process that is done upon request of the guest themselves. The next thing I wanted to take a look at for today's presentation is review the merge process inside RoomKey. So when merging guest profiles, the process allows us to manually select a master profile and then select merging profiles to merge into that master profile. Similar to the purge process, this process is permanent. So once profiles have been merged together into a master profile, whether it's one profile merged into another or multiple merged into a single master profile, that merge process cannot be undone. This process also is permission-based, so not all of your users will have access to it. You will need to enable permission 1522, guest profile merging, in order to access this functionality in RoomKey. So I do have another short video here that's going to demonstrate that merge process. So in RoomKey, to merge guest profiles, you're going to start once again in the guest profile module. So you'll select the guest profile from the operations menu. That will open up on screen, and here you'll be able to see, be able to do a search for existing or duplicate guest profiles using the guest search button. You're going to search for last name and email address in this case, and you'll see that I have 2 profiles appearing at the top that have the same address and similar guest names. Now, what we're going to do here is actually select the master profile first, which is going to be Natasha Leclerc, and then you're going to click the Merge Profiles button. Now that's going to ensure that the master profile appears in the top portion of the screen. Of course, you can click the magnifying button if you want to select a different profile for the master. Now I can select the Add button to choose from a list of profiles to merge into the master profile. And if I look towards the bottom here, I do actually have that Tasha Leclerc at 625 William Street. So that's the one I want to merge into my master profile. I can repeat that process if I have multiple or more than one merging profile to add. But when I'm ready, I can now click the Apply button. And that is instant, so I can simply close that window, and now I can do a guest search for the same search that I used to identify the duplicates. And what you'll notice here is that I no longer have duplicate addresses at 625 William Street, I just have one. And if I take a look at the Stays tab, I can see that it's actually merged multiple stays for those 2 profiles together. On the Credit Cards tab, it will also merge those credit card details. So that's a look at the merge tool that comes standard with every RoomKeyPMS database. Again, in order to use the merge and purge tools we've looked at so far, you do need to enable those clerk permissions on your clerk ID. Now let's take a look at some of the advancements that our development team has included for the merge functionality. And this is going to introduce our product Profile Match and Merge. Now, this product was developed because one of the drawbacks of our standard merge product is that you need to know or need to anticipate that there is a duplicate profile somewhere in the system. A couple quick points about the profile match and merge. It's going to do that automatic search for you. It also features adjustable merge criteria and allows you to preview the results of the merge before you actually commit to that permanent function of actually merging profiles. But just like the standard tool for merging profiles, when you merge profiles together, it cannot be undone. So it actually uses the same clerk permission. This is operations permissions 1522, guest profile merging. But what you'll notice when you have purchased the profile match and merge product for your database, what you'll notice in RoomKey in your guest profile, in addition to the standard merge button, merge profiles, you'll also have this additional button that says match and merge. So you can go ahead and click on that button directly from your guest profile screen. You don't have to do any searches or pre-requirements. You just go ahead and click on that button and it's going to open up in a browser for you. So I've got an example here where I can open up my browser. It uses the same sign-in information that you use for RoomKey. So it's going to sign you in to the Profile Match and Merge app. And right away on screen, it's going to take a look at your arrivals for the day, and it's going to look throughout your entire guest database to see if you have any possible duplicates. So arrivals for today, I do have a profile for Tasha or reservation for Tasha LeClaire, and it's also identified all of these possible duplicate profiles. I've got 5 of them listed here. Now I could quickly click the merge button, which will merge all 6 of these profiles into this profile at the top, this upcoming stay. But I do recommend that you take a look at the details of this merge, because if you wanted to adjust some of these settings, you can actually choose which details to keep from individual profiles and merge into a master. So let me go ahead and click the view detail here. And this is going to expand. So it shows me in the top portion of the screen, this is a list or a grid of all 6 of those profiles. Now, below that grid, it shows me a preview of what the merged profile, the master profile, will end up looking at the end of the merge process. So I can go through here and I can verify these details that it'll show as Tasha LeClaire. I have an email address here, and then it actually shows me all the different telephone numbers that are associated with those profiles. This is where you can get a little more customizable, because you can actually choose which numbers you want to keep and which ones you want to get rid of. So this first one here, 123, I'm just going to remove that value. I might also remove the 555 number. I can again remove, or I can go back and add in those numbers as needed. Let me go ahead and remove a couple more here. As you scroll down, the other thing that you can select for is the address information. Now, RoomKey can only hold up to 2 addresses. So if you try and add another one, it's just going to remind you that you can only keep up to 2 addresses. So you're going to select which ones from this list. Of course, you can have just 1 address if you prefer. So I'm just going to remove this one from Savannah, Georgia, and keep my 985 Main Street. The last couple of things you can review here are whether or not there's a VIP status or a do not rent status enabled for these profiles once merged. You can see that because a couple of them are VIP, this is going to carry over the status to my master profile. And at the very bottom, I can see any guest notes that are attached to those profiles. It's actually going to merge all those notes together onto the master profile as well. So once you're happy with the review of these details and you've customized what you want to keep or what you want to eliminate, you can then click the merge button at the bottom here. And this is going to confirm that we're going to merge all 6 of these profiles together. And you'll have a little note at the bottom for a couple of seconds that does allow you to do that undo. So if you click accidentally, you have about 5 seconds at the bottom there just to click the undo button and allow you a couple more minutes to refine your merge. But once that pop-up is gone, that merge is permanent. And this will also let you know if there's no more duplicates found in your system. So based off of what we've seen so far, you'll notice that it looked at today's arrivals only, and that's the default setting. But at the top here, this is where we can adjust our merge search options. So it always defaults to arrivals for today, but I could look at my in-house guests or my checked out guests. I could also look at any reservations made in today's date. The other thing that I can do is take a look at a wider date range. So like I said, always looks at today, but I could look at past dates, date ranges like the last 7 days or the last 30 days, or the next 7 days, the next 30 days. Or you do have a custom date range tool here where you can select a certain date range. Now I've opened up that date range here and it's actually selected or picked up a couple more profiles that could potentially merge into my master profile as well. The other thing that you can do with these settings is to choose if there are any allotments for misspellings. So right now it's looking for exact matches only. So it's going to look at each letter of the first and last name and make sure, see if there's any duplicates that match word for word. But you can allow up to 1 or 2 misspellings. And when you open up that range, that should give you some additional results. So if I look down here, because I've allowed up to 2 misspellings, it's actually picked up an additional profile here where the last name Leclaire is actually split up into 2 words, L-E space C-L-A-I-R. So by using some of the, or adjusting some of these search criteria at the top, it really allows you to capture as much information or search for all of those potential duplicate profiles there. Another feature of this app is that we actually track some of these using the activity log on the left-hand side. So when I click the activity log, this is by default going to show me any of the merge activity in this app for the last 24 hours. And it's actually going to detail which profiles were merged together. These ones all had the same name. So it showed that these duplicates were merged together. It will note the date and timestamp. So this was done this morning, and the name of the clerk. So I'm logged in as an RSI admin clerk ID here. So you would be able to see all of the changes made, when they were made, and who made them. Now, this is just the last 24 hours, but we can look at the last 7 days, or again, we've got a custom range there that we could look further dates in the past, or a custom date range in particular. These logs do not delete, so you always have that option to look at past or historical information for the Profile Match and Merge app. Lastly, on the left-hand side, we do have support resources. This will take you to our support webpage, support.roomkeypms.com. And we do have robust support articles that show you all of the details, a couple of how-to walkthroughs for our Profile Match and Merge app. Now, if your property is part of a chain of hotels where you have access to other databases that also use RoomKey, you will be able to use the drop-down menu here in the top left-hand corner to navigate between any other properties in your chain. If you share guest profiles across your chain, when you do the merge in one database, it will merge for those other databases as well. When you're done with the app, you can click the RoomKey icon and select Sign Out. Otherwise, if you walk away, RoomKey will automatically sign you out of this web page. It will require you to sign back in with your RoomKey username and password if you wanted to access that information after a time of absence. Or you can simply close the browser itself. So I could just go up here and I can close that browser. That brings us back to RoomKey here. So lots of options available for you with our standard product that comes standard with every RoomKeyPMS database. As well, if you are interested in some of that proactive or automatically search tool using the profile match and merge, we do have that available as well. Now, speaking of making things available, let's talk about when you can start using these tools. You can get started right away with those standard purge and merge functionality in RoomKey. If you would like purchase the profile match and merge product, you can contact our inside sales manager, Margot. Her contact information is listed here on screen, and I will also include it in my follow-up message following today's presentation. So reach out to Margot if you are interested in some of that automated functionality with the Profile Match and Merge app. So to summarize our presentation for today, the guest profile merge and purge tools inside RoomKey allow you to maintain accurate and comprehensive guest data. This also allows hotels to customize their guest services and develop unique marketing strategies for their property. I'm just going to open up the floor and see if we have any questions for today's presentation. So it looks like there are no outstanding questions at this time. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up our presentation. I really appreciate everyone's patience today. I hope you enjoyed the rest of your day. Thank you all.